I'm Citrus County Sheriff Mike Prendergast. I'm sitting today at my office in Inverness, Florida, and I'm joined by Dr. Erin Kimmerle and Detective Sergeant Chris Holloway from the Citrus County Sheriff's Office, who also happens to be one of my partners on the Cold Case Advisory Commission. Now, Dr. Kimmerle's been with us on the commission for a number of years, and she works with us out in the field as well as during our commission meetings to help us solve some of the most long-term cold cases in the state's history. And we're really blessed to have her up here with us today. And Dr. Kimmerle, could you talk to the folks that are out there a little bit about what it is that you do and why your role is so important to the Florida Cold Case Advisory Commission?
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
So we run a laboratory that provides services to law enforcement and medical examiners around the state, helping with long-term missing and unidentified remains. And one thing we found is that through public engagement, it helps solve cases every time we do an event or do outreach to the public, because for a lot of reasons, families have fallen through the cracks and they're able to come forward and get this information. So it's the type of work the commission does, and by engaging the public and providing the education, I think makes a big difference.
Yeah, I agree. And because of your cutting edge work, we've been able to reunite the facts back with the appropriate family members that are left behind after someone went missing after many decades. And we can't thank you enough for what it is that you do to contribute to our work and to the field of science as well, as we work alongside of our law enforcement partners, not only from the respective sheriff's offices, but from state agencies and federal partners that are out there helping us as we work our way through these tough cases that require resolution for those family members that have those burning questions after a loved one goes missing.
So in 2016, we had Missing in Florida Day, and it was held in Tampa. 11 different law enforcement agencies came for the day, and it was open to the public. There was an educational and outreach component, but the main focus was families and friends of long-term missing persons could come in and file reports. There's a lot of reasons that people fall through the cracks, but over the years, especially when we're talking about long-term cases that may have happened, someone went missing in the 1970s, 80s, 90s, there's a lot of loopholes to fall through the cracks. And so one of the obstacles that we have today in helping identify unknown individuals and unknown victims is they're not in the missing person system. So by getting families and getting the public to come forward and make those reports, we solve cases, and we had several resolutions just from that one-day event. And one of those obstacles, of course, is jurisdiction. So what happened is, anybody could come in, a report would be taken. If it wasn't in Citrus County, they still took the report, and then later, as an agency assist, and later parceled it out and worked with whatever would be the appropriate jurisdiction. But sometimes, that's that fuzzy area where someone might go missing, where they're last seen versus where they're supposed to be, might cross county lines or city lines. And so that's where it's like, okay, well, I don't know exactly where she went missing. She was driving from here to Tampa, and we don't know what happened to her. And so that's where they just run in, families can run into these stumbling blocks. And so days like that and events like that, where law enforcement really reaches out to the public and says, look, we're going to help you no matter what, you get to see cases resolved. So a lot of states are doing it annually now. We did it in 2016, and I'd like to do it again and maybe make it a much more regular type event.
Yeah, I think that's worthy of us exploring, and not only having a discussion sitting around the table with the Cold Case Advisory Commission, but we'll have the president of the Florida Sheriff's Association for this year, Sheriff Al Nienhuis, there in the audience in attendance with us, and we can have that conversation. And I think that's something that would be perfectly fitting for the Florida Sheriff's Association to take up and lead the charge on, to bring at least our sheriff's offices together in a very formal way. And obviously try and do it in several locations around the state, because we are such a very large state and we're over 22 million citizens. And the other thing that, we've learned through some of the cases that we've talked about just over the past couple of years, we've got 120 plus million tourists that come to the state every single year. And we all know that some of those folks go missing, but they don't know where they went missing along whatever their travel was, whether it was by aircraft and they were on a cruise ship, or if they travel by car into the Sunshine State. And some of those things that come out there and emerge, they may be unsolved for a very long time. And again, I think that really gets to the value of why the Cold Case Advisory Commission exists in the first place, for us to, one, do the outreach that we do along with the training, and to get all of these diverse minds that take the best technology and the best learned formal education and apply that to the contemporary environment as we try to get answers to those questions for those folks that are out there. So I think that's an invaluable suggestion, and as the chair, I'm going to bring it up at the first opportunity with Sheriff Nienhuis next week when we get a chance to get together with him, and look forward to being able to do that. And in the meantime, I'll ask Sergeant Holloway to go through and resurrect what he can from the files and do a little research, and we'll put some stuff together and send that up the flagpole for FSA to consider. Yeah, thanks for being here today. And Sergeant Holloway, you're our Detective Sergeant in the Citrus County Sheriff's Office Major Crimes Unit, and you've been appointed by me to serve as one of our great detectives out there on the Florida Cold Case Advisory Commission. What words would you have to say to the citizens that are out there that might have some burning questions about a cold case?
Like I said, it's a great program that we get to be part of, getting all the experts from their respected fields to help participate in solving some of these crimes that they've gone cold because we don't have any other information on them. So anybody that's ever watching or interested in it, to please contact the respected agency where the case happened at, and any information they may have, tips-wise or anything, to put in for, because it does help us solve the case, and we need everybody's help for that stuff. So helps out quite a bit. So we use them quite a bit for it.
Yeah, it is a multidisciplinary approach. We have experts from many fields, from prosecution to the folks that, of course, work in the forensic arena, detectives. We have state agencies represented, and occasionally we get some of the citizens from around the state that come in and help us out as well. And the Cold Case Advisory Commission meets around the state. We don't stay in one location. We move around the state from time to time. And in fact, just a little bit later, in about a week and a half, we're going to be down in Hernando County, where Sheriff Alan Nienhuis, the president of the Florida Sheriff's Association, is hosting the next Cold Case Advisory Commission meeting, where we'll have a day of training, followed by a day of commission meetings where we'll get updates on some of the significant cases that are out there, to include one of the cases that we're hopeful to gather enough information to bring a prosecution forward for a Hernando County case that's been around for quite some time. So we're really looking forward to getting those subject matter experts who think outside of the box and leave virtually no stones unturned to try and seek solutions to those questions that many family members have over the years. I'm Citrus County Sheriff Mike Prendergast, and I want to thank you for listening to us today. And if at any time whatsoever you have any questions about a cold case, please reach out to your respective sheriff's office or your local law enforcement agency. Get those questions answered. And as always, if you do have information, call your local Crime Stoppers number or call the non-emergency number for your respective law enforcement agency. Right here in Citrus County, Sergeant Holloway, what number should they call if they need to report any type of information?
Our non-emergency number at the 352-726-4488 or the 726-249-2790.
Say those numbers one more time.
352-726-4488 or 352-249-2790.
Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, the Florida Cold Case Advisory Commission has been around since 2015, and I'm very humbled to serve as the chairman of that committee, having been appointed by the last two presidents of the Florida Sheriff's Association. If you'd like to learn more, please go to our website at sheriffcitrus.org, and also please go to the Florida Sheriff's Association website, where you can find out a wide array of details about all the great work that the Sheriffs of Florida are doing to protect you and your families and the future of the great Sunshine State. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being with us. And as always, if you've got a tip, please call in to your local law enforcement, and be blessed and be well out there. Thank you.